Hello, everybody. It is Friday, the 19th of March, and I'm Michelle Beckett from ADHD Unlocked, and I'm joined by the lovely Stephanie, also from ADHD Unlocked. Now, all of this week, we have been looking in our members community, ADHD Unlocked, at the very difficult subject of people pleasing. People pleasing. And you think at first glance, you think, not sure if I am a people pleaser because maybe I don't shy away from conflict. Maybe I say yes to the odd thing that, I don't have time to do, but am I really a people pleaser? And then when we looked at it a little more closely, we realized just how common people pleasing is within the ADHD community and how detrimental it can be for our mental well-being, our energy levels, and all of our relationships if we don't get to grips with this and we don't grapple with it. And we looked at all of the reasons why we are people pleasers. And there's some questions that came up, Steph, and I'm just going to go through them because you asked me them at the beginning of the week. They're absolutely wonderful. And we've asked our members community to look at them too. Do you tend to just fit in with everybody? Do you drop everything for a friend or family in need? Do you apologise frequently, even to inanimate objects? Now, we had one of our members in our chat talk about how they say sorry so often. They even said sorry to a carrot that they had dropped on the floor the other day. And also, do you say yes automatically to invites or tasks? Because sometimes you might get really enthusiastic and go, yes, I can do this and I want to really help, but you might not have time. And do you often feel overwhelmed with no time for yourself? So they were just a few of the questions that we looked at. And then people thought, oh, maybe I am a people pleaser, but it's very common, isn't it, Steph?
Yeah, very, very common. And so many ADHD exacerbators, which we talk about from session to session, rejection sensitive dysphoria being a big one here. For the obvious reason that we don't want to be rejected. So to not be rejected, we need to keep people on side. And it was interesting because a lot of members, we started talking about how, even with our service providers, blurring that line between the personal, professional relationships, we need to make everyone our friend. So banking it. I think one of our members made that point about kind of making sure you've got kind of credit in the bank, because you will inevitably, or at least we think we will inevitably disappoint, or we will need some margin at a later stage.
That was huge for me because I've always started from this default position with new people, or when I've met people, that I need them to like me. And regardless of whether or not I like them, I don't do an assessment of them. They could be an awful person. It's all about how can I get them to like me? And actually delving into this week has made me realize, perhaps subconsciously, why I do that. Maybe we think, oh, okay, it's because I know I'm going to mess up at some point and I need to get them to like me, so they're more likely to forgive me because I see myself as flawed, or I've seen myself as flawed all these years, not being diagnosed in my mid-40s and thinking I'm going to mess up, I'm going to upset them, I'm going to let them down, I'm going to forget something. And so that's been huge, is to think about, why do I need people to like me so much? And I've done this in relationships as well. It was all about gaining their love. I'm in a healthy relationship now, but all my other relationships have been very unhealthy. And I've wanted to kind of, if I can get their love, if I can prove myself to them, then I'll feel worthy. So I think there's a lot of that. And maybe that's come from childhood. And, I don't know, this trauma discussion is quite interesting, isn't it, Steph?
Yeah, I think you said in the members meetup that very much came up. And yeah, how much of this is from the trauma, and you talked about mini traumas despite, just having ADHD.
Yeah, because I used to think of trauma and people say, have you been traumatized?
Yeah.
You think, well, no, I haven't been in a war or watched, my house be blown up. Do you know what I mean? You tend to think of that kind of as trauma. But actually, there's low-level complex trauma, where you have been, maybe slightly neglected by a parent, or not loved as many others have been, or you've been rejected by friends or teachers because of your ADHD, made to feel different. And we talked about that impact and the cumulative effect of micro traumas from having undiagnosed ADHD. Meaning that we maybe do have this fawn response. Please like me, I need to fawn in order for you to not see my flaws. I feel flawed. Please like me. I need to gain your love so I feel worthy. and for you to like me. And that it really complicated because it's very chicken and egg, you know, and I do definitely believe that ADHD is neurobiological. And some psychologists have tried to look at the trauma angle and say, well, it's caused by trauma. And I think you cannot separate the two, really.
They very much come together, don't they? Because of the genetic, you know, the genetic component of ADHD, and obviously the traits lend themselves to, unfortunately.
Yes, and then you may have grown up in an environment where there may have been addictions and you know, trouble with money or violence because of familial ADHD. So it really, really, really interesting and very, very difficult. And all of the stuff that goes alongside, you know, the saying sorry all of the time. And the main problem, Steph, is that you're not going to be your authentic self if you carry on doing this.
Yeah,
because we people please, and a lot of people said that when they mix their groups of friends together, they go, how on earth have I got so many different sets of friends? Who's the real me?
The chameleon effect, what we were saying earlier, that a lot of us, because of the people pleasing, we are like chameleons, and particularly the actors, and there are a lot of ADHDs in the creative industries that are very good at acting too. It lends itself, you know, the people pleasing just can come very easily.
Yeah, I mean, that can be a benefit because I tend to get on with, you know, really different sort of sets of people. But when it comes to the point when you're changing your true self and your opinions and your values and your interests and what you're genuinely interested in to try and fit in with other people, you know, whether that's a partner, a group of friends, or you're trying to fit in at work with work colleagues because you don't want to be found out because you're masking your ADHD, maybe you don't know you have it. That's when it becomes such a massive drain on you, when you're not living to your true self. And that's when you're in danger of burning out. So burnout caused by not being your authentic self, and also from doing too much, from saying yes to everything, as a result of people pleasing. But this is a very, very complex topic. So what can you do? What can we do about this, Steph, if we could just sum up?
Yeah, just summing up. So the first thing, space. And I see this more and more as being reinforced to me, that we really need to prioritize space. We don't do that because obviously that fear of losing interest, you know, we don't like those clear spaces in the calendar. Oh, what are we going to do? And the thing is, though, if we don't give ourselves space, we can't kind of stop to think about what it is we actually want. We can't do the work on identifying who we are, you know, our strengths and values, our needs in particular, because you can't create, maintain, and communicate boundaries to others without doing that work, without knowing what your needs are. So that's the first thing. Carve out space. If you're not kind of stopping literally long enough to kind of breathe, you're not getting, you know, your lunch in, that's a key indicator that you're not carving out space. And it's not easy, so I know, but yeah, lean into that discomfort zone and make that a priority. So carving out space, doing some of the work around knowing yourself, which in ADHD Unlocked, we've done a whole week on that. We've got all the exercises. So these are the same kind of exercises I give to my clients in coaching. So that's all in the portal as well. And also, basically, this is not easy for us ADHDs because of our executive function, you know, skill deficits. But the more you plan, the more you know what your agenda is, like for that day, for that week, the easier it is to say no to people, because that's the thing, you know, if we don't have an agenda, we do end up following other people's agendas, and we very much do that. And the issue is, while we do that, how are we ever going to actually do anything for ourselves or prioritize those things that are going to move us forward towards, you know, our heartfelt vision? So again, prioritizing, planning, and just getting clear about what it is that you need to do that day. The other thing we talked about was having a default response. So if someone asks you to do something, or asks you if you can do a project, come to this party, resist the temptation to say yes. It's really hard because that people pleasing right in the moment, you know, I've got to be part of the team. It's really difficult. But if you've kind of got your little line written out, obviously don't pull it out in the moment, but if you've got it out, practice it a bit at home or something, but just say something like, because we don't want to say no straight away, that's going to be difficult, but say something like, oh look, I'd really like to do that, but I just need to go and check either, you know, with my partner, or I just need to check my calendar, and kind of, you know, even say, I wouldn't want to say, you know, yes to you and then find out I don't have time and not be able to deliver. And that really is showing that you've thought about it and you're being considerate to them, because I think you said that before, Mish, isn't it? In terms of we think that by people pleasing that we're going to help other people, we're pleasing others, but we end up doing completely the opposite.
Yeah, we end up disappointing because we end up doing too much and then failing to deliver, or burning out and getting ill and freezing and, just being exhausted, and then we can't deliver at all. So the irony is, by trying to people please, we more often than not do the opposite. So also there's a big thing here. We never carve out time for self-care more often than not, and we feel guilty about carving out time for self-care, maybe because we're behind on tasks with work or in the house, but that is absolutely vital, and you must kind of work that mindset around self-care is the utmost priority, and it takes priority over other people. Oxygen mask on first here, people. But what do you think, guys? What are your strategies for people pleasing? Maybe you thought that you weren't a people pleaser, and now having watched this, you think, oh gosh, do I do that? Have a look at it, have a think, give yourself space, and maybe write in the comments below on the page. And sometimes that might be difficult for people to do, if it's open on the page, but do join the community if you want to have those private conversations and talk with other ADHDers about their strategies and share in a safe place what's happened to you over the years and how maybe you've people pleased and how you've gotten over it, or if you're struggling and other members can help you, because that is what our community is all about. We've been going nearly a year now, so do have a look at our website, adhdunlocked.co.uk, and we have a special offer on at the moment. So we've got whole 20% off the monthly fee and the annual fee, and there's no tie-in whatsoever, so you just pay, and so you're not tied to a certain period. So 20% off the annual, 20% off the monthly till the end of March. So do join up. And next week we're covering masking. Do you mask? Who are you? Who's the real you? We've been talking about this as far as people pleasing is concerned, but we're going to continue with this mask, who's the real you, next week. But do join us, look at our website, sign up for our newsletter, like our page, follow our page, and maybe join our group and join the ADHD Unlocked members community, because it's been growing from strength to strength, and there's been some amazing conversations this week, hasn't there, Steph?
Yeah, every week.
Yeah, every week. So thank you. So go to adhdunlocked.co.uk and join us next week for masking. And thank you very much, and stay well this weekend and have a think about your people pleasing. And remember, do not say sorry to inanimate objects, especially. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.